We begin tonight with new developments in the Gulf of Mexico, where after a roller coaster 48 hours, BP is testing a new ceiling cap it hopes may finally stop this catastrophic oil spill. After some last-minute concerns were resolved, federal officials gave the go-ahead, and now, for a region facing years of cleanup, a high-stakes period of wait and see begins. Will their prayers finally be answered? David Muir is in the Gulf with tonight's report. David?
Terry, good evening. So many eyes on this crucial test of that cap now sitting on top of that well. It's a test that could take up to 48 hours. BP tweeting late this evening that they detected a small leak in the apparatus. They're going to fix that before fully launching this test. But in the end, if this cap is able to contain all of that oil, that would be the first time that's happened since this crisis began, now nearly 3 months ago. Now comes the crucial test of the massive 150,000-pound cap. Late today, Admiral Thad Allen predicting what we'd see first as they prepared for the test. Oil gushing from the top, vanishing. Instead, only coming out from the sides as they slowly close down the valves on the cap, one at a time. But for much of this day, so many here in the Gulf wondered if this test would happen at all. It's been a nail-biting 48 hours. Families throughout the region fixed on that feed. Starting Monday night, 7:20 Eastern Time, the wellhead lowered. 40 minutes later, the cap attached. And the test was supposed to begin sometime Tuesday, an attempt to stop all of the oil shooting up through that well at a force so strong, engineers estimate it's up to 180 times the pressure of water shooting through a fire hydrant. Thad Allen early yesterday.
Goal is to slowly close that down. At that point, there will be no hydrocarbons exiting from the capping stack, and we will go into a period where we're going to start taking pressure readings.
Measuring that pressure several times a minute. And it turns out the greater the pressure pushing up against that cap, the better. One BP official going so far as to say this.
Just everybody hope and pray that we see high pressures here.
Because if the oil pressure is lower than expected, lower than 6,000 psi, pounds per square inch, it can only mean one thing, that there are other leaks, other problems in the well.
If the pressure is low, that suggests that they do have some leaks. They will then need to proceed with caution.
But the test hadn't even begun yet, and Louisiana's governor was offering a stark reminder.
Let's be clear, this is a marathon. Millions of gallons of oil are still in the water.
So many here in the Gulf were waiting for word on the test, when it would begin. Like oysterman Jeff Goulet, who just a month ago took us out to his oyster beds and showed us his oil-soaked harvest. We went back to find him, his boats no longer harvesting, instead skimming for BP. And he was cautious about the cap, like everyone else here. How do you think the folks at the Gulf look at that? I mean, is there skepticism? Is there hope? What is it?
Nothing's worked yet, so that's what we're thinking.
And just hours after his skepticism came word that the test had been halted. Late last night, this statement from the U.S. Coast Guard. We decided that the process may benefit from additional analysis that will be performed. And this morning, all along the Gulf, residents awoke to the news.
And this morning, snag underwater. BP delays that critical test on the new cap.
And we soon learned that the setback was born out of concern over the blown-out well itself. In particular, there were concerns over the piping inside the blown-out well that extends some 13,000 feet into the sea floor. Asking, once capped, will it be able to withstand all of that pressure? Or will that trapped oil blow through any weak spots in the well?
They have to be very careful when they close it down to make sure that that pressure doesn't come up quickly and cause any of the pipes to rupture.
But even with those concerns, late this afternoon, Admiral Thad Allen stood before the microphone and said the test would begin.
We did this to make sure that we were taking due care, and in some cases maybe an overabundance of caution to make sure that we didn't do any reversible harm to the well bores.
And just minutes later, BP announcing that they were moving forward.
We have the green light now to proceed with our well integrity test.
They will now slowly close the valves on that new cap, one section at a time. BP's hope is that the cap fits tightly enough and is on strong enough to hold back all of the oil. Thad Allen saying they would check their progress every 6 hours.
If they do it quickly, they could have a series of ruptures of pipe and cement and burst the wellhead open very close to the sea floor. But if you have a rupture near the surface, then it could totally destroy the integrity of the wellhead, and you could have a lot of oil flowing out in the Gulf of Mexico with very limited tools to contain it.
Which is why measuring the pressure, the oil pushing up against that cap, is so important.
Secretary Chu and others were working
Late today, we asked Louisiana's governor about all of this stop and go on this crucial test. He told us the stakes are very high.
What's most important to us is they get this done right, because we're at a point where we cannot afford for them to make this worse.
We'll pay you by the gallon. We'll go get it.
Yeah.
Across the Gulf, they are hedging their bets tonight. They've held out hope for too many other tries before.
We're all waiting to go to work.
People like fisherman Daryl Morrow, who isn't watching that now infamous BP feed. He's just trying to get them on the phone.
Yes, I can hold.
He told us the least they could do while he waits is hire his boat to skim.
Y'all got out-of-town people working, and I'm a local fisherman out of Plaquemines Parish, and I'm still not working. Why?
They told him his name is on the list, where it's been since May. He is now hoping for work, as much of the Gulf tonight hopes for something too, that this new cap being put to the test passes, capturing all of the oil, which would be a first here, as we now mark day 86 in this crisis. I'm David Muir for Nightline in New Orleans.